It's been slightly over a year since Sea of Thieves, the Microsoft exclusive title created by famed British developer Rare, was released into the open seas of the gaming world. I'm Sykes and welcome to InstallationX, and today we are looking back at the highs and lows of the first year voyage of Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves was a highly anticipated Microsoft exclusive that was originally due to release in 2016 during the great drought of exclusive games for the Xbox One. To put things into perspective, the other exclusive games that were supposed to release in that year were Fable Legends, Scalebound, and Crackdown 3. Considering Scalebound was cancelled, Fable Legends was not only cancelled but the studio Lionhead was shut down, and Crackdown 3 only released a couple of months ago to underwhelming reviews, Sea of Thieves has by far been the greatest success out of the bunch. However, that doesn't mean that Sea of Thieves hasn't had its low points over the first year, many of which came not long after its release on March 20th, 2018. The hype for Sea of Thieves was majorly built by how well it demoed to fans and games journalists at conventions such as E3, with many large media outlets and content creators stating how much of a blast they had playing the game with others. I personally got really excited about the game based on how much people had been positively reacting to the game both in writing and in video. However, when Sea of Thieves launched, it had a significant issue in that many players believed it was empty. The biggest criticism that faced Sea of Thieves was it was seriously lacking content at the beginning of its voyage into the gaming world. The structure of gameplay was pretty simple. You need to complete quests in order to gain reputation to level up with the game's 3 factions, getting to level 50 to become Pirate Legend. These were the Gold Hoarders, responsible for collecting chests of precious gold, the Order of Souls, responsible for trading in the skulls of lost skeleton captains, and the Merchants Alliance, who traded in the movements of goods from place to place, mainly in the form of animals and cargo items. The gameplay loop was structured for you to go out and explore the world, maybe solve a riddle or two, and to then hand in the loot you gained from your chosen voyage at outposts to gain gold to spend on different cosmetic items. Many people fell out of love with the game early on as they found that the gameplay loop of selecting a voyage, sailing to an island, collecting loot, and cashing it in was too repetitive and mundane, particularly when the gold being offered was very little compared to the price of cosmetic items. This, alongside the issue of the only PvE experiences being in the form of skeleton crews, or on rare occasions a battle with the Kraken, combined with a lack of PvP interaction, it soon became clear that Rare was going to have to add new content quickly if it was to keep a significant proportion of its player base engaged before they turned away for good. And well, luckily, they did. The first major free update to the game was in the form of the Hungering Deep, which arrived on May 29, 2018. The Hungering Deep was a big step for the Sea of Thieves, as it introduced its first version of story content in the form of Hungering Deep Quest, introducing a new faction, the Bilge Rats, alongside NPCs Duke and particularly Merrick, who was the lead character of the Hungering Deep storyline. The story culminated with summoning the mighty Megalodon as a new PvE experience. The Megalodon offered an alternative challenge to the Kraken, continuously circling your ship before lunging in, causing significant damage to your vessel. The update also introduced lots of new additional story-related cosmetic items, along with the speaking trumpet, which projects the player's voice over a greater distance, and the new drum to add to the collection of fun instruments which finished up the first big content update of Sea of Thieves. The next update, named the Cursed Sails, dropped on July 31st, 2018. Just like the Hungering Deep update, Rare introduced new PvE experiences, this time in the form of skeleton ghost ships for players to engage out on the seas. There are normally 2 options when your vessel is sprung upon by one of these ships: either leg it to avoid damage, or go head to head in the hope of sinking the ship and getting some handsome loot as a reward. The introduction of the skeleton ghost ships also introduced the cursed cannonballs. Multiple varieties of these were introduced which helped mix up the action in PvE and PvP ship combat, such as raising the sails of the enemy ship or dropping its anchor when struck with the cursed cannonball. More story content arrived in the time-limited Bilge Rat storyline, along with the introduction of the Alliance flag to team up with other crews that were sailing the same seas. A new welcome addition was the new Brigantine vessel, which now took the role of the mid-size vessel, larger than a sloop but smaller than a galleon, making it perfect for 2 to 3 player crews. The largest expansion to Sea of Thieves to date is the Forsaken Shores update on September 27, 2018. This update brought a long-lost area of the world which was rediscovered of the Sea of Thieves known as the Devil's Roar. The Devil's Roar is currently the wildest, most volatile and most unpredictable, dangerous area of the Sea of Thieves. The area brought a whole new host of challenges for players to navigate in the form of exploding volcanoes, blasting volcanic rocks into the skies falling towards ships, rumbling earthquakes that damages the ship's hull, and boiling hot waters that, if encountered by the player, cause serious damage and are incredibly difficult to swim in and survive. However, as with any great risk, often comes great rewards. The voyages for each faction that are completed within the Devil's Roar are more difficult to complete, but offer more lucrative chests, skulls, and cargo in their Ashen variants. A handy new tool to help navigate these treacherous waters was included in the form of the trusty little rowboat, which can be docked at the rear of each vessel. The Merchants Alliance got a handy update to the structure of its voyages with the new cargo runs. Now players were required to transport crates of plants, linens and bottled rum to NPCs across the seas. However, as well as the time constraints with the previous merchant quest, the condition of the items that were handed in would significantly affect the rewards earned. The worse condition, the smaller the reward. Bottles would crack if you jump with crates in hand, or if your ship takes damage when the crates are on board. Plants need to be regularly watered or else they will wilt, and linens aren't allowed to get wet. The update also saw lots of new cosmetic additions such as the Kraken and Ocean Crawler sets. The final update released so far is the Shrouded Spoils, which dropped on November the 28th, 2018. Shrouded Spoils look to further improve previous additions to the game along with adding new features. The big change was the introduction of the Fog Weather event, which made navigation and combat much more complex with visibility greatly affected. Kraken and Megalodon encounters were now more random and frequent, with new variants of the Megalodon being introduced to mix up the encounters with players. More skeleton forts were included, along with the ancient bone dust crate offering a sizable payout. A new reward was introduced with variations of the cursed mermaid statues. These cursed statues had 3 variants: Sapphire, Emerald and Ruby. The statues required multiple hits to deal damage, some requiring more than others, whilst also dealing damage to the player when in close proximity. Each produced a gem when destroyed, which can be handed in to any of the 3 main factions. The more difficult the statue is to destroy, the greater the reward, with Ruby gems offering 2,000 gold as the most difficult, whereas Sapphire gems offer 1,000 gold as they are much easier to destroy. Gilded quests arrived over the Christmas period. The quests were more complex but offered considerable rewards, the only catch being that players could only hold 1 gilded quest. The quest could be in the form of the 3 factions or a gilded Athena's Fortune quest if the player was at the Pirate Legend status. This offered probably the greatest risk in terms of time, distance sailed and the number of PvE encounters to deal with before handing in some unbelievable hordes of loot. It was at this point Sea of Thieves started to generate more attention on the broader scale, as it found itself in the hands of multiple big Twitch streamers, most notably Summit1G, along with others such as Tim the Tapman, Ninja, Courage and many more offering quite some insane PvP and PvE battles and steals. This no doubt helped generate more eyes on the game, bringing in new players and bringing back those that had left the game and felt the need to jump back in to experience all the new features. I know that I was certainly one of those players. This then brings us to the most current new wave of content in the form of the Anniversary Update, which is due to be released on April 30th, 2019. This update is due to bring us the long-awaited Arena update, bringing a whole new world to compete within, long-awaited hunting, fishing and cooking abilities, along with the new faction the Hunter's Call, led by the returning Merrick. For me, the most exciting news is the announcement of full-on story missions in the form of Tall Tales, the Shore of Gold, which has promised to dive deeper into the game's existing lore, linking the extended universe content back into the game and bringing in new and previously revealed characters. It's fair to say that a lot has happened on the Sea of Thieves in the first year of our voyages. It's also fair to say that the game is all the more better for all the hard work that Rare has put in to add new content on a frequent basis. Should there have been more content at launch? Yeah. Should we be doing more than the same gameplay loop over and over again? Maybe, depends on your point of view. One thing that is for certain is that Sea of Thieves is not the same game it was 12 months ago. It's much, much better. What will come to the Sea of Thieves after the Anniversary Update is unclear, but I for one am looking out on the horizon with excitement as to what comes next and what I can experience on my voyages in the second year of Sea of Thieves. Well guys, if you've got to the end of the video, then thank you very much. I really appreciate it. This is the first video that we've put up on the channel which is structured in the way I want to structure it. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, I'm working things out. This is the first time I've written a script and read off it. It's the first kind of video that I wanted to do on the channel. I thought it was quite timely with Sea of Thieves just recently turning its 1 year anniversary. Expect more videos to be coming in the future. This is how I want to structure some of my videos, but not all of them. But in the meantime, please make sure you do all that YouTube jazz. You like, you comment, you subscribe, you share, all that kind of stuff. We are now up on Twitter, which is exciting. So if you want to follow me or follow the channel on Twitter, then it's at installation_ix, capital I, capital X. And in the meantime, I've been Sykes, and remember, for everything Xbox, stay tuned to InstallationX. Bye guys.